So you're looking for the channel that covers all things photography. You're in the right place. Hit the subscribe button now. What's up, peeps? My name's Jade Holding. Welcome to Photo Factor. We're busy covering some Photoshop basics, and this here is chapter 7. And in this 3-part series, we're going to explore working with brushes and color in Adobe Photoshop. So in this first session, we're going to just go into a little bit more details about brushes specifically. So let's dive straight in. Right, okay, so for this session, I'm going to be making use of this pic. The model in the image is Claire Duprier. Thanks, Claire, for letting us make use of this image. And so there are a number of tools that make use of a brush tip, such as the brush tool itself, obviously. And we've got the clone stamp tool that also does so, the burn and dodge tool. They're all going to give you the same. Let's just click here on the brush tool. They're all going to bring up the same options bar over here. And you'll see this icon over here, which looks like a slightly fuzzy brush tip. This figure under here is telling me how large the brush tip is. If I scroll over to the image, you can see there that circle that appears indicates how large the brush is that I'm working with. And then this little drop down menu over here, if I click on that, you'll see it gives me the option to, by moving the slider, to make the brush smaller or a whole lot bigger. That's way too big, so let's just bring that down again. And I can also adjust the hardness and softness of the brush over here. We'll leave it on the hard edge for now. Then below here, if you just scroll through here, you'll see there's a number of different types of brushes one can use, which all give you different effects. And so I recommend going and just playing with these and see what the different brushes do. But for now, we're going to stick on this size brush over here. I'm going to just click on the arrow here to make this drop down disappear. And I'm currently got a white color selected over here, which is indicated by this little icon over here. Obviously, you can choose different colors, and there's various ways one can pick colors. The most basic way is just to head on over here to swatches, and there's a number of different types, color variants one can work with. But for now, we'll just stick with the white, and I'm going to just paint over here on the image. Notice that it gives me that hard edge. It's a solid white color. And so let's just go back a step again. We can go over here to the history, go back a few steps. Now, if I want to soften the edge, remember the slide over here, we just pull that down. And now if I draw, or rather paint with the brush, I get a more fuzzy edge. Right, so let's just go back a few steps again. And so you may remember in a previous tutorial, I brought your attention to a shortcut to make the brush larger rather than having to navigate up here every time. And it's a great shortcut to remember. The way you do it is you just head on over to your square bracket keys, which is situated next to the P key on your keyboard. And if you click on the right square bracket key, your brush enlarges, and on the left it decreases in size. The next thing I want to bring your attention to over here back in the options bar is the opacity, which you can, by default it would be set to 100, but if you click on the drop down menu, this little slider appears and you can bring down the opacity. Let's take it to around 50%. And let's brush over this bubblegum balloon here. We want to make the brush a little bit bigger. So we click on the right hand square bracket key, and you'll see now if I click on the bubble, sort of a white opaque effect has happened over the brush with some of the pink showing through. Obviously, if I had the opacity at 100 and I did that, none of the pink would show through. So let's just go back a few steps again. And so then next, here just to the left of the opacity is the blend mode fields. Again, normal would be your default setting, but if you click on the little drop down menu here, you'll see a number of various other options. And so these various settings will determine how the color that you have chosen interact with the colors already in the image. And this is pretty much the same as if you go over here to layers. You'll see here normal, of various blend modes, and they work pretty much the same, but we'll cover this in a future tutorial. And so one particular blend mode that I want to bring your attention to, which I think you're going to find particularly useful, is the color blend mode. So let's select that. We make sure our opacity is on 100%. And let's give ourselves a different color to work with. Let's go for green. And let's just close this again. I like to keep the workspace nice and tidy. And so let's head on back over to the image and make a brush slightly smaller. And if I start brushing over here, you'll see I'm getting the bubble to change to the color I want, but the tonal values, the original tonal values, are showing through, and so are able to retain all the little textures and nuances of the balloon. Okay, so now I want to show you a great way of first selecting the entire balloon and then painting in with the color mode brush option. And so let's go up to the file menu, and I want to scroll down to revert, which basically takes the image right back to its original state. So now let's head on over to the quick select tool in the tools panel. And again, using the square bracket key, make that brush a little bit bigger. Click once on the balloon area, and magically it has selected the entire bubble area. And now let's go back to the brush tool. We already have the green selected here that we want to change the bubble to, and I can make the brush tool bigger to encompass the whole area. And if I click on it, let's make sure that I'm brushing over the whole area. Bam, just like that. We've now gone from purple bubblegum to green. And so when we're happy, we can just hit Command D on the Mac or Control D on the Windows keyboard. And boom. Right, so that's super easy. Next up, we're going to take a deeper look at choosing and making use of colors. If you got value out of this session, do give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you at the next session. See you there.